Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs post-game show podcast. Cubs lock up another series win. Their second straight win over the Astros, 4-3 at Wrigley Field. Cubs now 15-9 on the season and pretty close to first place, and first base too. Luke Stuckmeyer.
What do you mean first
Corey
base?
Friedman. Cody Bellinger. Hopefully, Ryan Herrera joining us from beautiful historic Wrigley Field. And there he is, Kevin Wells, running the ones and twos, spinning the dials.
Oh, yeah.
On a Wednesday night. Yeah, Corey's here. That's right, Michael. Corey's here. Cubs win. Taillon gets a nice outing. No, he didn't go 7 innings. We have injuries to talk about. Obviously, the Bellinger injury. We'll get to that a little bit later in the podcast since it's not the newest news. But let's start with Mr. Taillon. Mr. Taillon. He's taken a lot of heat over the last year plus. Maybe some of it deserved. Big contract. Didn't pitch well in the first half of the season last year. Started to pitch better. And started with the injury this year. Tonight, another good start. I've liked what I've seen both starts so far.
He's looked good. And, I mean, tonight was odd. He only walked 2 guys, and both of them were Victor Caratini, who I think the broadcast said had not walked before that. So all those great hitters.
Andy was the 8 hitter.
Yeah, all those great hitters in that
walked.
lineup, and Taillon really had little problem. He's looked good. And I think, clearly he's not at the point where he's going 100 pitches plus, and they want to be careful about when he's kind of running out of gas there. But he's given you exactly what you want. Like, he's come back, and he's been a reliable starter for this team. It's only 2 starts, but this is exactly what you want to see. And I haven't talked to Brendan. I don't know if Tommy Hodavy's talked about how his stuff looks relative to some of the problems last year, but he looks more confident. His stuff looks better. Got some really nice swings and misses. Curveball looks good. It's what this team needs. Obviously, this team is dealing with a lot of injuries, and him coming back and being just a stable presence in this rotation would be a huge lift for this rotation.
Yeah, I mean, like we've all said, the starting pitching needs to be able to consistently go 5 to 6. Like, when Steele comes back, he'll have some starts where he can go 7. We've seen that before. Hell, even an 8-inning one in there too, probably. But as far as the rest of them, consistently given Counsell 5 to 6 innings is the bare minimum of what we as fans should expect. And Taillon, it was 2 runs, 1 earned, right? That first inning he gave up, or the inning he gave up runs, the first one was unearned because of the error by Bush.
5 2/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good early. The inning that he gave up the 2 runs, I felt like he did limit the damage as best as he could. And it's not like he was, it's not like the Astros were hitting rockets all across the field either. Bush has got to make the play. At the same time, he can't walk the guy before him, which I believe was probably Caratini.
Only 2 walks, yeah.
So, he wasn't perfect, but, I mean, that Astros lineup is good, and he kept the team in the game. Yeah. It helps when you get a 4-run lead early, I'll say that much.
Which is what you said yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Does make things easier.
Well, that's what, people always wonder how the Cubs were able to do it in 2016, in which they won the World Series.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No.
The more you know. That team was so great because they scored early and often early.
And bounced a lot of starting pitchers.
And they bounced starting pitchers, but then they had their guys who not only stayed healthy, but also once you got them leads, I wouldn't say the game was over, but it definitely made the game easier for them to get through. And we've seen that the last 2 nights with Jordan Wicks and now Jameson Taillon.
Well, and
so it becomes a lot easier. You feel like you have some room for error in there.
Yes.
Well, and to that point, especially with where this pitching staff is, and Counsell trying to piece together this bullpen, roles have moved around, guys are hurt. Of course, you want the team to score early and often. That's obvious. But particularly for this situation, it does make things feel so much easier as the game progresses because you don't know how deep some of these starters are going to go, and you don't really know if you can trust half the bullpen on any given night. So it does kind of immediate, like that Dansby homer gives you just a sigh of relief. Like, okay, like now we can try to just focus on getting outs. But back to Taillon, 10 2/3, 10 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts on the year. Like, and as I said, tonight felt like a night where if this were the middle of the season, he wasn't just coming back from injury, like you could have asked more out of him. You could have tried to get through that 6th inning, maybe even sent him back out there to go near 100 pitches for the 7th, because I think he would have been facing the bottom of the order again. So he looks good. Hopefully he can continue that. Steele comes back. Shota, I think, is getting to the point where he's going to be able to start going deeper into games now. So hopefully at least that top of the rotation can do that, and then the young guys get their opportunity. But before Cody does the beer chug, like 15-9, Say has been out. Steele's been out since the 5th inning on opening day.
1, 2, and 3 most important in my eyes. You could say Dansby and Nico, but to me, before the season, we said Steele was number 1. You couldn't afford to lose. Bellinger was number 2, right?
Yeah.
Taillon's got to be up there too. 3.
And so 15-9, just won another series with all these injuries, all this going on. You got to feel good about it.
This was definitely a game that you got back. Like, you know how everyone in the chat and even we have complained about, oh, we should have 18, 19 wins if we didn't blow those 4 saves or whatever, right? The Cubs, they were setting themselves up to blow this game. Nearest giving up the homer in the 9th inning. The fact that they didn't get any more runs after the 1st inning.
Yeah.
The Astros had all the momentum going in that 9th inning. Credit to Nearest for even after he gave up the homer to Altuve, he struck out Alvarez. Nasty pitch to get Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
He got Tucker to fly out. And, before Alvarez, I believe it was Bregman who hit a comebacker to Nearest in which he almost threw it away. Thankfully, he didn't.
And Bregman jogged to first instead of running through the base.
So all I'm saying about this game is this one feels like one that you got back that, honestly, in my personal opinion, I feel like we're sitting here, we're lucky to be sitting here happy that they won. I personally feel that way.
Well, here comes the beer bat chug. A lot of you have been giving your predictions. I've seen a lot around 10. Now, the account on Twitter, I think I saw made a ruling on what should be counted as a quality chug. Is that correct?
Yes, I mentioned it last night before the end of the show.
Oh, he did?
I read his tweet.
Okay, so what is it?
Was it like 10 seconds or something?
No,
I'll have
it's
to go back and look at it, but
it's 10 something.
1050 is like the quality chug.
We're gonna have to go check. So
We'll
Shay's saying 10-3, Tanya 8-9. A lot of people thinking under 10, and I saw Brendan jumped in on Twitter or on the chat and said, if you go under 10, he'll join the show as if he were invited.
Oh wow!
But, in that case, Cody, take your time. Take your time.
You think I'm gonna send him the link? Oh boy.
Well, this beer bat, I'm gonna give it to Dansby Swanson because if he doesn't hit the homer, they lose this game, or we're tied and we lose the game 3-1, right? So, listen, with Bellinger's injury, which we're going to talk about, like they're going to need guys like Swanson and Horner and Happ and Bush to be good. They have those guys. I mean, it sucks. It's the scenario that we're in. It sucks, but that's what we're asking. Oh, and Morel's gonna. I felt like Morel took some more good steps tonight with the walk and the hit. But again, Swanson, big 3-run jack in the 1st inning to really help Taillon go the length that he did, in my opinion, tonight. So, and I've been hard on Dansby of late.
2-out homer too.
Yeah,
with 2 on.
Hold it, don't chug it, because we've got a super chat. Foreign Empire wants to get his pick in, and for $5, we're going to let him do it. Why does Madrigal always go in towards the end of the game? What's not to trust about Morel's defense has been very good. 10.78, by the way.
We'll talk about that.
We can talk about that.
We'll talk about that in a second. All right, here you go. Cody Bellinger, official timer. Here we go. Wow, he's going heavy through this. This is fast.
He wants Brendan on.
Oh, no. Now we got trouble.
Now
we got trouble.
No, it's off, isn't it?
No, just don't choke. Just don't choke. No spitting. But if you do,
really
if you can spit towards Corey, please.
That's also in your direction, though.
Well, so that was a mess.
Yeah. Okay, so you can stop
spit
that.
up. I tilted it back too far.
Well, I also screwed up. I forgot to stop a couple seconds in there.
That was probably my worst one in
since the spit.
It was about 21
Since the choke.
Yeah, about 21.
Do we want to answer the?
No, let's just let Corey.
All I can do is laugh.
Corey, let's just let Cody gather himself here for a second.
Fine.
You're okay?
I'm
You're not going to
literally
vomit?
fine,
You're not going to spit on anybody?
No. Stop it. I'm going to throw the rest of this bat at you.
Now, see, where's HR?
Daniel says, "Oh man, he jogged down the first baseline on that chug." The equivalent, of Bregman jogging down the line.
Bregman. Well, he said we're lucky to be here.
I pissed my pants on YouTube, so I just did the old.
Who's to say that you didn't?
Well, with that bullpen.
I mean, I almost pissed my pants after Neris gave up the homer.
A lot of people in the chat already say, "Man, I got nightmares about this bullpen. I have no confidence."
Well, do you want to touch on the Madrigal question and then,
all right, let's
then
do
the bullpen?
What do you think about Madrigal going in for defense?
As we were sitting on the couch, I said the same thing. Like in the 8th inning, and Boog was right. You said it before Boog did. Credit to you.
Credit to me.
That
humble of me to admit that I was right.
Madrigal doesn't catch that liner. He's likely playing in further, and he's not as tall as Christopher Morel and can't jump as high. So it was weird to me. I know they've been doing that, and I haven't always really disagreed with the process, but it feels like Morel's looked really good over there. He made a lot of good, solid plays last night, and tonight, obviously, that 8th inning catch really big. I think at some point you have to move on from that.
Can you believe you're saying this, and it's not even the end of April yet?
Considering how
it's sort of shocking
started.
Considering how it started.
Yeah, and but to be fair, and the chat knows this about me, I'm a certified hater, and I think it would be different. Madrigal's rates well at third base. I've given him a lot of credit for it, but it is still an unorthodox way of doing it. He has to play in. He takes steps to make certain throws, and so I think it's not that I necessarily completely trust Morel. He's got a lot to prove that he can continue to be solid over there. But at some point, I think, which was the Super Chat question, you have to trust him, and you have to let him stay out there and make those plays. And tonight, I just thought it was weird because Morel sort of literally saved the game an inning before with a nice play. But then in the 9th, you go to it. I don't think it really matters, but yeah.
Do you get more nervous when the bullpen takes over the game and it's ALLCITY, Little, Leiter, Neris? Or do you get more nervous when the ball is hit down to Morel and he gets ready to throw and you're yelling, chill, 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 chill? Which one scares you more at this point in the season?
For me, it's Morel, but that's just because the bullpen hasn't been the problem the last 2 nights.
Yeah, it's definitely
both give me a little.
For me,
Pepto-Bismol.
I'm giving you recency bias here. The last 2 nights they've been good. Neris giving up the homer. Just thank God that A, they had an extra run to play with, and B, he didn't blow the save, right? But other than Neris giving up the homer, what wrong has the bullpen done the last 2 nights?
Fair. Well, yeah, Neris the home run.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Besides, Leiter got out of the inning
in general,
somehow.
I think I'm going to say the bullpen, but last few nights, yeah, I agree. Morel's look good. I'm not feeling as nervous about it, and I want to.
But
believe
the thing
on
is
that.
I like what I've seen from Morel too. If you're forcing me to choose one right now, I guess Morel, just because, we all know that it's kind of a roller coaster, but it's been a more smoother roller coaster of late over the last 2.5 weeks. Comparably to the first week of the year,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. When I look at the bullpen, tonight the bullpen really saved them. Really. I mean, again, they didn't give up any runs until Neris in the 9th. So, okay, the closer problem. We've had closer problem all season. But Little strikes out. No, he got Alvarez to ground out, and then he struck out Kyle Tucker. And when he came in, which was impressive, you're going through the middle of the lineup.
ALLCITY hits a guy, and you're a little nervous.
For sure.
Well, and
now, I'll say when ALLCITY came in, yes, I was nervous, but that's largely just because of what we've seen from ALLCITY this year. For me, at the same time, though, I was like, all right, he was good in his last appearance. Can he take another step forward? Should he have hit the batter? No. But he got Altuve to fly out.
Well, and credit, I mean, it's a good sign from ALLCITY. Obviously you still want to see him miss more bats, but rolling over into the next inning and having that trust and Counsell trusting him and him getting through it, I thought was nice to see. So he continues. That was what Craig Counsell said about Adbert when he was removed from the closer role was like the way he's going to get that confidence back is going out there and just getting hitters out, getting that feedback from hitters and having successful outings. And, that's what we've seen since they've moved him out. So, again, I'm not sure if their goal is to work him back to being the closer, but this is good progress because you need Adbert to be a useful and productive reliever for this team no matter what. Also, I saw Justin in the YouTube chat ask if I was taller or Nick Madrigal. I'm at least 3 inches taller than Nick Madrigal.
Yeah.
So
I would agree.
Just in case, Google says he's 5'8". I am not 5'8". So I know everyone was
You're
worried
pretty strong arm, too. Strong arm.
I don't need to crow hop.
I understand why most people probably feel more anxiety about the bullpen. I guess the way that I look at the bullpen is that no matter what, the bullpen is going to give up runs this year. But I would say the bullpen has been better over the last week than it was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And that's all I'm saying.
It's going to be a work in progress, especially without Julian Merriweather, who was one of your best guys last year. He was obviously, even in the early going, you could see that Counsell really liked him. He was going to utilize him a lot. So it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. It was nice to see Neris recover after giving up the homer. Overall, I think in his last several outings, he's been pretty good. And good outing from Luke Little. Like, you saw some good stuff tonight. Mark Leiter Jr., favorite of the CHGO Cubs podcast, looked great tonight. So they're
Cubs tweeted lights out.
They're going to have to piece it together. So
imagine that.
Yeah. All in all, when you have a season so far that has required so many games of 3+ innings out of your bullpen, you're going to have some bad outings. You're going to have some guys move out of roles. You're going to have guys on that kind of rotating bus back and forth from Iowa. They're going to have to piece it together, but it's still only April, and you are getting Justin Steele back. I know Taylor was talking about that on the broadcast tonight, that he's going to start
and then
throwing in Arizona.
Friday and then one more.
Right, then get back in a rehab start, so hopefully you have him back. Taillon looks good. Hopefully can continue to give you length. I think, as I said, Shota, I think they're going to continue to try and ratchet up his innings, so hopefully the tax that they're putting on the bullpen is lessened as we go forward here. Counsell has more of a feel for how to use these guys, and maybe things settle down a bit as we roll into May and as the season goes on.
The pitch doctor has spoken. This is information you could use when you're placing your next wager at Circa. Brendan says, what about my movement profile?
By movement.
Oh, by movement profile.
Can you read?
Alzali's, not from that far away, Alzali's slider looked more like his 2023 slider. It's his second consecutive game where his slider has had these numbers.
So I do remember him talking about this. I think, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but to add color to that, I think some of the problem in the early going was that some of the stuff did not look like it did last year. The pitches were kind of blending together a little bit, some of his breaking stuff. And so if I'm interpreting that correctly, the last couple outings is a good sign that his slider looks more like it did when he was at his most effective. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you want to bet on Alzolay I don't know what you could bet on.
Cy Young?
No.
You
bet on the Cubs tomorrow for their day game. You can do it. I bet they already have the market up already.
Great odds.
You could do it on Circa, though. Who had, I think I had my hit parlay did not hit tonight. The lock of the night, Ian Happ over 1.5 hits, runs on RBIs hit tonight.
Wonder what Vegas or what Circa has for the Bears' number 9 pick tomorrow.
Ooh. I bet the favorite is Adunze.
I would think so.
Yeah. I know the odds for Caleb Williams are
that's over.
The fact that you can still bet that is crazy.
Yeah.
Even if it's negative 20,000.
When the whole team's had dinner with him and is running routes with him, I'd say he's probably the guy.
Anyway, Circa, it's one of my favorite apps to log on to. One reason why is because they got tight money line splits. They have some of the best odds. They have better odds than most sports books out there, right? The games strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books which may use a -115 or -120 split. Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. And like I said, better odds than any they strive to have better odds than most books, and that's why they actually encourage you to download other sports betting apps so you can actually compare the lines yourself. Last Friday for Friday 120 Club had AJ Puck under 4.5 strikeouts at plus 115. Looked at a different sports betting app beforehand to check the odds to compare, and Circa had the better odds. So I hammered it on there, and then he had 4 strikeouts, and I made like $57. So credit to me. The other thing that I love about him, the customer service. You know, a lot of them use chatbots, and it's annoying because it usually just takes you forever to get to where you want to get. All aspects of Circa's app, though, are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com.
Circa is just simply sexy. And, you know, I've been bringing sexy back for decades, but Justin Timberlake is just more famous for it at this point. So if you want to see him in June at the United Center, don't panic. Here's how you do it. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices, show your total up front so you know what you're getting. It's a great deal without the hidden fees. Buy those tickets in seconds, just 2 taps. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem with the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
The Cody Beerbat account has tweeted, and they calculated 20 seconds even.
Okay. We'll go with that.
And now my season average is at 11.50.
And the quality chug is?
I think in the, here, I'm looking right now. He says that, well, he said that you decide, or no, you asked, and then, okay, he tweeted last night on tonight's podcast. Luke asked if I've decided on what's a quality chug. And after considering the results so far, I think a 10.25 chug would be considered a quality chug. So then he says, I would have 4 quality chugs on the season for 8 beer bat chugs.
Now 4 for 9.
Yeah. Nice 50% quality chugs. But definitely bad tonight.
I think
I'm going to do another one before the end of the show. I have to redeem myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whenever
Bonus
we go into
pants
second,
handle more beer spilling.
Yeah. No, I'm going to redeem myself. When we go to the second ad break, I'm going to go get it.
I have a question for you guys because I'm curious. Like, I'm reading through the chat, and like we haven't, and we didn't do pregame today, so I know we haven't talked about Cody Bellinger's
coming up right here. You
injury.
read my mind. Yeah.
Yes, but before we do that, obviously that context involved, like. It is an interesting spot that this team is in because, like, so what I'm curious about for you guys is, like, how do you feel about the team right now? Because, like, when you look at it, they're 15-9. They've won series. We were just going through this. They've won series against some really good teams. At the same time, we are really unsure of how this bullpen's going to look. You're going to be out without Cody and Seiya now, both for some period of time, but you're getting Steele back. Like, in a way, this feels like, given everything that's happened, the best possible outcome for this team, but there's still, like, stuff we're so, like, unsure and maybe, like, concerned about. Do you feel that same way where you're like, wow, this is I'm like thrilled to be here right now? Are you worried about that stuff?
How do you feel scenario that could have happened after everything
that's how
happened.
I feel too.
You're very fortunate to be where you are. I like the grit and kind of like moxie that the team has shown a little bit. Yeah. And maybe that comes from going through the struggles at the end of last season together, a lot of the same guys. But I am still concerned that a swoon could be coming here. Like a real slump could be coming. I'm just afraid of that a little bit. I still say end of May, get there at 500.
Yeah.
And if you're something like this in May and you've got 4 or 5 games over 500, I'll be shocked if they don't. I'll be shocked with everybody back at that point if they wouldn't go on to win the division.
I'll say this, and it's not really like even like a, some sort of like kick at the teams that they play, because you look at the schedule. You look at the schedule at the very beginning of the year before they played a game. You looked at the April schedule and you're like, that's tough. Got to play the Rangers. Had to play the Dodgers. Played the Diamondbacks on the road. Played the Padres on the road. Right? Mariners on the road. You're playing the Astros right now, right? The Dodgers haven't got off to the greatest start. The Diamondbacks are under 500. The Mariners weren't playing good ball when the Cubs came to town.
Astros bad.
Astros are 11 games under 500 now. Again, not taking anything away from them. What I'm saying is perhaps the Cubs just got them at the right time.
Sure.
And baseball is a weird game, right? It's a weird sport. Like, do we think the Astros are going to be 11 games under 500 all year? Do we think they're going to be this bad all year? Not with that lineup. I don't think so. They need to get the pitching right, and then maybe they'll get it going, right? I expect the Dodgers to be a lot better as the season goes along. They should have won the series against the Padres if they don't blow an 8-0 lead, whatever. But, the Padres have been a competitive team this year. Honestly, in some ways, I'd argue that the Padres have been the best team that they've played. But even though the Cubs should have easily won that series, right? But I just think in some ways the Cubs have been kind of fortunate to be getting certain teams at the right time, that they're not playing their best baseball. That's all I'm really saying.
Well, but I mean, not that you're not saying it, but you still got to beat them,
right?
Right?
No, and I agree.
And hopefully that means that whenever they play some lesser teams, they are.
Well, that's why it's frustrating
that
they split with the Marlins. So.
But no, I was just curious because it does feel like they're like dealing with so much, so it's easy to kind of be. Concerned always feels like a heavy word, like just for like the rest of the season. Yeah, anxious.
Anxiety.
But like it does feel like 15-9, and I saw a lot of people say it on Twitter, like tonight, and you were saying it, like tonight feels like a game this team loses last year. One way or another, we're all sitting here saying, well, they should have scored more runs in this inning, or they should have cashed in on this, or, this guy couldn't lock it down. It just feels like a game they would have lost. And I don't think I mean that because of David Ross. I know that might be how that's interpreted.
Or that Happ was batting third tonight.
Or that Happ was batting third. But it just feels like a game. It feels like tonight was a win. Feels a little different. And I think, like, them being 15-9, they're dealing with a lot, and whether they can weather this storm going forward, we'll see. But I feel really good about where this team is, and I think you know where those trouble areas might be. It's not like a mystery that's going to pop up. You're going to have to get guys to step up on offense. These young guys are going to have to take this opportunity. You need more length out of your starters to kind of help a depleted and not that great overall bullpen. They're not easy problems to solve, but you kind of know what's in front of you, which feels I feel very good about it, despite now being without your 2 best hitters and your best starter, and we're not really sure when that's going to change.
This segment of the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast brought to you by the Illinois pork producers, people who are active, need more protein than the average American. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Dietitians of Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on training. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that people who are involved in a general fitness program or who are interested in optimizing their health eat low-fat, high-quality sources of protein, which include lean cuts of pork. Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavors, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork and juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product. Paid for by the Illinois pork producers, generations of commitment. Pork power, you say? How about lean, mean, protein machine, Pete Crow Armstrong, up from Iowa because Cody Bellinger cracked a rib.
2
ribs.
Yeah.
Fractured, I guess.
Fractured, cracked, whatever you want to say. He ran into the wall. I never thought it was this bad.
Yeah.
We did say last night, boy, that would be unfortunate if he were really hurt too.
I don't think he thought it was either. He
No,
said he
no.
felt fine,
Which
stinks.
What Council said? Ryan tweeted the video before the game. Like Council talked before the game and said, that Bellinger actually felt good when he woke up this morning.
Yeah,
right?
X-rays were negative.
X-rays were negative, but the CT scan or whatever it's called, found something, and it's just it's annoying because then when you watch the highlight, it's it doesn't look like he it's not like he ran right into the wall. You know what I mean? I don't know. But anyway, it happened and it sucks. And honestly, I would put this at number 2 of worst possible scenarios of the season. It's Steele and Bellinger for me.
And then Seiya.
I think
although Seiya was playing great.
Well, Seiya was playing great, but
Yeah.
I just think Bellinger, he's proven so much over his career, and he was clearly their best player last year. And the thing that sucks about the timing of this injury was that he was starting to get it going.
He was looking better.
He was looking a lot better, man.
8-game hitting streak for Bellinger.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we were worried and have been worried about, Cubs fans have been worried about the pitching staff because you lost Steele, you lost Taillon, you lost Merriweather, and it was how much more of this can they take? Guys are now in the rotation that could be used in the bullpen to help the bullpen, which has been thin and struggling and yada, yada, yada. And now, you were just asking, how do you feel? At 15-9, I might be more concerned in the next 20 games about the offense than I am the pitching staff.
After tonight, yeah.
Because no Seiya and no Bellinger is a big deal to that offense, and Morel has been kind of slumping a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you
Bush
had
has
gone
cooled
into
off
the
a little bit.
season,
Bush has
we're
cooled
lucky. Looks like Steele's going to be about a month, something in that time frame. So that seems on the shorter end of what we were all thinking when we were at Country Club on opening
Taillon
night.
is back and productive.
Yeah,
and the guys that have filled in have been good.
I think Seiya was returning to baseball activities. They were talking about over the weekend. And this seems like the lower end of a Cody injury, because especially when you're grabbing the area that he was grabbing, you're, again, worried about the ever-present oblique and all this other stuff. So hopefully he can come back, and hopefully you're on the lesser end of these things. But at the beginning of the year, if I had told you Steele, Bellinger, and Seiya would all get hurt and be out at the same time, I would have said there's certainly no way they're 15-9. And is Cody still alive? Is Brendan still alive? Because that sounds terrible.
Have I thrown myself into the lake yet?
It's going to be a lot of, I think, what you saw tonight. Dansby had the big hit tonight. You're going to need these guys to step up, and it's you're going to have guys. They're going to fluctuate. As we're seeing right now, Michael Bush is not as hot as he was to start the year. Christopher Morel has looked better the last few games, but he obviously has cooled off from where he was the beginning of the year. You're going to need them to come back around eventually. Tonight it was Dansby Swanson. Lately, it's been Nico Horner, who's been scorching hot. Mike Talkman has been unbelievable and continues to just be an incredible piece that they found going into last year. And you're going to need these guys to step up because, you don't have your most reliable hitters. You don't have that kind of trustworthy thump that you were hoping to have in the lineup. Those guys will be back, but it's going to be tough going forward. You're going to have to really piece things together. They're going to need to be better about situational hitting. When guys are on third, get them in, get them over, get them in, things like that. So it's going to be tough sledding, but not many teams are built to easily survive their two best hitters being out. Hopefully the Cubs only have to deal with that for a couple weeks maybe before Seiya can come back, and then hopefully Bellinger's isn't longer, but that's a tough thing to overcome. So we'll see if guys can step up and if they are up to the task.
Yeah, for me, the only spin of this is that you get to see some young guys get an opportunity. And so far to this point, Canario hasn't taken control of the opportunity. He's been up since Seiya went down. Hit that home run on Saturday, but his at-bats have been kind of predictable, admittedly. Mervis, it's been 2 games. I know I know the chat is not going to be nearly as patient with him as they will be Canario. And admittedly, I'm not even really that patient as I probably should be. Credit to me for saying so. Just being honest. But like this is a lot of what this season was about, was kind of getting some answers about a lot of these young guys. And you know, I don't like that's they're going to need Nico, Dansby, Bush, Morel, and Tauchman even to continue to give good at bats at the very least. Like, you can't just give outs away with bad at bats. I feel like the team battles. I feel like the team grinds out at bats, and I just don't know where, unless your last name is Morel or Bush, I don't really know where a lot of the slug is. Swanson hit one tonight. Hopefully this means a hot streak is coming for him. He struggled on that road trip. He'd struggled in the Marlins series, in my opinion, too. These first 2 games against the Astros, he's been pretty good.
It would be a good time for like an Ian Happ heater.
Yeah.
Really
Ian Happ, too. Ian Happ had a hit today that helped them get that rally going in the 4th inning. But, yeah, I mean, you look at people were kind of complaining about the lineup and Happ hitting 3rd before the game. And it's just like, well, what do you do when Seiya, Bellinger,
half your teams
is out, man? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess you could put Bush there. Like, what? I don't know.
With those guys out, when he's hitting from the left side, there's really not many better options. So hopefully one of those, Morel can get back to pounding the ball.
And PCA, I mean, man, it's just terrible timing because he didn't get off to a good start in AAA this year.
So what are your expectations?
I don't know what kind of expectations to have, because I said this the other night, like, you know how we talked about Nico going through the adjustment of like his swing changes or whatever, and how he struggled like the first 2-3 weeks of the season, and now he's red hot? Like, does that have to do with what he did in the offseason or not? Like, I don't know. Like, it's not like he's hitting home runs. He's been getting hits, 2 more hits tonight, right? Like,
if he's down there making those adjustments, then I'm not concerned about it.
Right. Like, and I'm basing this all off of what they said, what Jared Banner said, or whoever said in the offseason, and the Cubs pushing it, that he was working with Dustin Kelly all offseason on his swing and stuff like that, Like, but he hasn't been great in AAA so far this year, and so I don't really have high expectations for him, to be honest with you. And that doesn't mean that I'm not a believer or anything. It's just that he wasn't hitting in AAA, know?
If he struggles, you don't lose faith, because you hope he's struggling because he's working on the things he has to become a very good Major League Baseball player. Yeah. Worse would be him coming up and just trying to do the same thing again.
Exactly. So, again, for me, it's like, does his early season struggles have a lot to do with what Nico was trying to do? You know what I mean? You see how I'm trying to compare the two? So, but I don't know. Like, I'm guessing, Like, I'm throwing something out there and seeing what y'all think about it, because I don't. Again, my expectations are low. I expect him to be in the lineup against righties and on days when Craig Counsell doesn't feel like the matchup is good for Canario. And then they'll put Tauchman in right, and it'll be PCA in center. That's what I expect.
I'm glad that PCA is getting another opportunity in lower stakes than last year. Last year was a very difficult position for a young guy, a top prospect, to come up in a situation where quite literally every game that they were playing was life or death for their season. That's a lot of pressure. And now a lot of guys are hurt. It's April. The stakes are just so much lower. So I'm glad that he's going to be able to get in there without that extra. He's going to have the microscope on him because he's a top prospect, because he was traded for Javi Baez, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't help when you're also playing in life or death games every day in September and the playoffs are on the line. My expectations are low. He wasn't hitting well in the minors, and he still has adjustments to make. But I think when you are without your guys that provide that reliable slug, Craig Counsell can try to utilize PCA's skills to help them win games. His speed can help them steal runs. His defense can help them prevent runs. Cody Bellinger's a great defender. You don't have him right now. Canario's an adventure out there. We've seen some sloppiness all over the field from this defense. So I think even just being able to utilize those simple things and improve on some of those margins, that can be helpful for a team like this. They might continue to play a lot of low-scoring, close games, and maybe those are the things that help you win a couple ball games. He goes out there, maybe he's not starting that often, but he's out there to steal a base or two late in the game to try to steal a run or bunt, as somebody said. Of course, that's not where you want him to be as your top prospect, but maybe he's not ready for that just yet. And hopefully he is soon, and, he stays up here for good sooner rather than later. But I think just having those kind of intangible skills that he has, when you don't have the ability to just blow everybody out, that can be really useful. And as usual, I trust Craig Counsell to find the most opportune times to utilize that. So I'm not expecting him to have solved all these issues or to look better than he did necessarily last time. And like Carter Hawkins says, the real one in our YouTube chat, like, you can find low leverage opportunities for him and then utilize those skills to try to win some games and like steal those margins, which this team needs to always kind of be making sure they're the better team at. I always say, like, the basketball example, like, this team is built, they need to be the team that wins all those loose balls.
And hit their free throws.
Yes, and hit their free throws, get to those 50-50 pucks, whatever other sport analogy you want to use.
Goals.
Got to work harder than the other team.
They have to be the team that is exceeding in that versus their opponents, because they're just not built like some team that
with all these injuries.
Yeah,
no turnovers.
So, especially with all these injuries. So I think PCA can help with that. I don't have that top prospect, high expectation, like, et cetera. Kind of have to understand where he's at in his adjustments in his career, but I do think he can help this team.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, to me, it's for PCA. You're at least at the very least, you're going to get the defense, right? So
and the base running.
Yeah,
I just hope he doesn't go running towards the wall like we've seen some guys go running towards the wall.
Well, he is he is crazy. I do love that about him. There's
He plays
something
with his hair
about,
on fire.
like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he was like this before, but it's almost like when he was traded for Javi, he like sort of absorbed some of him. I was watching him the other day. I think it was a pop-up like in the shallow outfield or the infield. He tried to score from third, and he was out, but he might have been safe if they had challenged it. But like, he's got a little bit of like craziness to him, which in a way you kind of need to chill out at the major league level. Like, Javi was sort of one of one in that regard. But
he's like Javi mixed with Reed Johnson back in the day.
Well, and that's why he's not going to play every day, right?
Yeah.
Because he still has
he's
some
still
of those
getting that
tendencies.
seasoning.
He's still working through them.
If this offense is going to continue to be doing what it's been doing, like Marcus in the chat said that we're like expecting too much, or I assume he's talking about us, or maybe he's talking about the chat.
I think he meant the chat.
Maybe he's talking about the chat. But if this offense is going to continue to do what it's been doing, Mervis and Canario are going to have to wake up, man. Like, and I don't want to put that pressure on them. I'm not trying to put that pressure on them, but that's just the fact of the matter, man. Like, Canario's here because Seya's out, and Mervis is here because he's a left-handed power bat, right? Like, that's just the fact of the matter. So,
and if they don't, Jake Slaughter's going to be here soon enough.
Don't pander to
Well,
Gary.
and like on Mervis, like, it's
Have you heard of this Slaughter guy?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard about the Slaughter guy.
The slaughterhouse.
I think with Mervis in particular, and Canario to somewhat of a degree, like, but he didn't get as much opportunity last year, at least, plate appearance wise, as Mervis. Like, you got to prove it at some point. Yeah. Like, this team right now is competitive. They're winning games, and they DFA'd Cooper, like, to give some of these young guys an opportunity. Raking in AAA only gets you so far, So, like, at some point, and it's still a very small sample for Matt Mervis, and you do want to give him fair runway. But when you're competing and you're trying to win and you're trying to stay in what should be a tight division race through the end of the year, you're getting an opportunity. You have to pay it off at some point, because there reaches a threshold. I don't know what it is for the Cubs, where you say, hey, like, we love what you did in AAA, but you're not proving it in the time that we're giving you up here. We can't give you 150 games. Sure. We got to try to win games. If you're not, and yeah, he doesn't look good. That's the thing. He falls behind in the count when he's up here. He's not slugging the way he did, obviously, when he's down there. Doesn't have a hit yet this year. You got to. It's only been a few games, so of course we're not at that point yet. But you have to prove it eventually, or those opportunities are just going to go to somebody else.
Cody's going to try another beer bat chug. We're hoping to hear from Ryan Herrera before the show is over. But first, CD1 Price Cleaners, low prices. Customers save over 30% on their dry cleaning bill by switching to CD1 Price Cleaner. Simple, transparent service. Other cleaners charge a different price for every garment type. Plus, they have upcharges and might even have to pay a different price every time you visit. At CD1 Price Cleaners, they charge one low price. That's it. Every garment, yeah, even the sports jerseys. So if you've got a Talkman jersey you want to get dry cleaned, go ahead and take it. Same price. Fast turnaround, too. CD1 Price Cleaners has your order ready same day or next day. Other cleaners take 2 to 4 days to get your garments ready. And then they send you a text alert at CD1 Price Cleaners. Goes right to your phone so you know when it's ready for pickup. They do it all. Dry cleaning, wash and fold laundry, blankets, comforters, tailoring, alterations, leather cleaning, area rug cleaning. Visit chgo.cd1, that's one.com. Link in the description. Once you're there, you can pick from an in-store coupon or online pickup and delivery coupon options. And don't forget to drive home a winner this April after visiting our partner, Ray Chevrolet. They're sharing their best offers of the year. Make your way to Ray Chevrolet on Route 12 in Fox Lake to join in on the savings. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgate vehicle. For a limited time, they're offering 0% financing for 72 months on new Silverados with over 100 of them available. And to top it all off, they're pricing over 125 vehicles under $20,000 right now. Seriously, can you find pricing more affordable than that? Get a free oil change at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake when you mention us, CHGO. A free oil change, all you have to do is mention the 4 letters CHGO when scheduling that oil change. Schedule it by April 30th. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads.
Have a super chat from Darren. Appreciate that, Darren. Thanks for doing this show, boys. Great to feel like part of the CHGO and Cubs Nation out here in Salt Lake City. We didn't stinks tonight, Godfather and Godmother, although Cheapo Ricketts still does. Appreciate that, Darren.
And was there another super chat, too, before that?
Credit
Yeah,
to
we
Darren.
did have one from
The Hawk, or the Hook.
Go Hook!
This team battles. It's winning ugly. From here on out until they get healthy, they have 14 homegrown players on the roster. Let's be happy they're in this position considering... And nothing after that. So.
That's well said.
Yeah, it is
Here
well said.
comes
Yeah.
the Hook.
He makes a good point because we all used to dream of, honestly, we used to dream of times like this, right? Like with the fact, being able to develop your own homegrown
100%.
talent and stuff. Of course, yes, me and Corey have sat on the set and said, I wish the Ricketts would spend $400 million every
never said
offseason. Don't lie to me. I'm not taking all the credit for this.
I said
all right?
$500 million.
500, whatever, okay? But at the same time, you got to be able to develop talent. The best teams in the league develop talent well. They straight up do, all right? So, we need to see more from some of the young guys, but we also have to be able to go through the ups and downs. It's just
You got to
the
give them
fact
the
of matter.
opportunity first.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I think I say this all the time. This fan base, I feel like we were spoiled by Chris Bryant and Javi Baez and Anthony Rizzo and Addison Russell even, right? Those were some of the top prospects in baseball, right? And not to say that these guys aren't, but Mervis wasn't a top 100 guy. Neither was Canario.
Yeah.
Right? Bush was, though, and we've seen him go through a really good stretch. He carried the team on the road trip, right? So, it's, you just have to, again, you have to go through the ups and downs, and that's what is part of the frustration part. You just don't know what a lot of them are going to do.
Well, and you got to buckle in for the ride. It's a long ride, and you pointed it out, but one thing I always love an opportunity to talk about the 2016 Chicago Cubs that won the World Series.
They won the World Series.
Something that I don't even know if it gets talked about enough with that team is how lucky the timing was for the Chicago Cubs. All the guys you just mentioned came up, the ones that were, they had drafted or came through their system, came up and had some of the best seasons of their career, in some cases the only good seasons of their career, right at the same time, right when they were spending money and ready to win a championship. When you look at this team now, it's not always going to be like that. Some of your top prospects are going to come up, immediately find a role, they stick with the team, it's great. Other guys, it's going to be, they come up, they get sent back down, they struggle, they win awards, they struggle again. It's not always, Theo always used to say, it's not linear. Not everything is linear. The 2016-2015 area was so fortunate. One, with injuries. They were remarkably healthy, those teams. Even dealing with some injuries, remarkably healthy. And just so fortunate that those prospects came up and it all came together at the exact same time. It doesn't always happen like that, and that's part of what you're seeing. And to your bigger point, you have to, kind of, as Pat Hughes would say, fasten your seatbelt. Some of these guys, it's going to be a ride. You can't wait a month and write them off or expect them to immediately be the 4-hitter on a team trying to win the division or the number 2 starter in the rotation. It takes time. Look at Justin Steele. It took time. It took a long time with him in this system. And it's not just the
Cubs either. Look at all the top prospects in baseball struggling right now. We talked about it earlier.
Jackson Holiday, Wyatt Langford.
Yep. It's not just the Cubs.
And fasten your seatbelts, as Corey said, because Cody is going to try one more beer bat chug after a failed attempt early on. Let's do that now before we risk Ryan Herrera's journalistic integrity with the juxtaposition of our silliness.
Well, I got to pour this.
Okay. Well, go ahead and pour it.
I am pouring it.
Give us your dedication, your second dedication.
This doesn't count, though, does it?
Well, he's just trying to make up his average. He's trying to improve his average.
Here. More so redeeming myself. Ryan, I know Ryan's probably the happiest person that I did what I did because, he's a certified hater of me.
We will not have any slander in that chat, by the way. I see you out there.
All right.
I promise to hit it on time and not screw it up.
Gary, just for you, man. Jake Slaughter went 4 for 5 in AAA. And I'm not pandering to you, all right? Just know that I'm acknowledging that Jake Slaughter went 4 for 5.
Did he tater, too?
You know who also homered tonight? Brennan Davis.
Brennan Davis,
right?
yeah.
Good for him. That was good to see.
So Brennan Davis and Jake Slaughter. That's the dedication. Here we go.
There we go.
It's the minor league version of the beer bat chug. Begin. Here we go. Cody Delmendo trying to make up for his nearly 24-second one earlier.
He's absolutely cruising right now.
Cruising through this one. He is done. So not a quality chug, but certainly better than the last one.
All right.
Under 12, I still say 12 should be the mark for quality.
I was just trying to.
Right. The second one, for a second one, pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel better. I can go to sleep and feel good about myself tonight.
All right, let's bring in Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Did I hear 24 seconds?
Well, the first one he got a little. He didn't choke. He didn't spit up, but he did dribble a lot.
Oof.
His pants are very wet. His shirt's very wet.
I was trying to get to a new record and it backfired.
Yeah.
It did like a wave.
I can't.
It was like a Lake Michigan wave that goes up against the beach, and all of a sudden it came back and hit him.
I tipped it back too far, and it hit my face, and it, I spilled on myself. I looked like a real idiot on the internet.
Yeah, I was wondering why I didn't see anything from the Cody's Beer Bat Chug Twitter page, but now I get it. Now I know why.
Well, they did eventually tweet something. But
Godfather.
I'm sure you didn't retweet it.
No, I did not.
There you go. Exactly.
Fair enough. My season average up to 11.50.
All right. Ryan, how long is Cody Bellinger going to be out? Because I think most of us, after your report last night where the Cubs told you, X-rays were good, it's fine, we'll see what he's like. I think everybody thought he was going to be okay. And then to find out fractured rib, kind of surprising today.
Yeah. So to answer the question initially, there's no timetable yet right now. I know Bellinger was meeting with doctors today, kind of reviewing stuff and seeing where they go from there. But yeah, I mean, he said himself, he felt like he was in a good spot. The rotating while swinging didn't hurt. It was just some, a little bit of discomfort while taking deeper breaths. And that, even Craig Counsell said today that Bellinger woke up feeling good. He was encouraged how he woke up feeling, and even said something like, I think I dodged something there, right? But then they do the CT scan, and that catches the fractured ribs, the 2 fractures on the right side of his ribs. So, yeah, I mean, again, like you said, seemed pretty optimistic that maybe it's only going to be a little bit of time, maybe a couple days, or maybe no time at all, right? But going in today, obviously the CT scan reveals a little further injury than everyone initially thought, and now the Cubs are going to be without Cody Bellinger for at least the next 9 games.
Man, that's. I see someone in the chat, Everett. I don't know if you're a doctor or just human like me. 50-day average for cracked ribs. I have no idea if that's true, but I would suggest it's.
I was watching.
I would guess, and I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night. I would guess it's at least a month.
I was watching our
Be
friend.
surprised if it's not.
I was watching our friend Kyle, the setup man. He did like a reaction to this Bellinger news on his YouTube channel this afternoon, and he was he like Googled how long it usually takes
for fractured rib,
and that's what he found too, like 50 days. So
50. A long time.
Yeah.
Ryan, question for you. Did you talk to Jameson Taillon or Craig Counsell or Tommy Hotovy? Just curious how they're feeling about, maybe they didn't relate it to last year and some of the struggles that he had, but just through 2 starts, how he's feeling about his stuff, his feel for his stuff. Obviously, it's been successful, but how does he feel about it?
Yeah, no, I think everyone is obviously very happy to see him come in and have success right away. It's not Taillon specifically. A lot of players, beginning their season, coming off the IL, it may be a little bit before they start to get in that group, but he seems to have found it already. And Taillon was kind of asked about that actually after the game today. If he's surprised in that sense that right away you're coming in, even though you're just starting your season now. And he basically said no. A lot of it is, what we've talked about, what his second half looked like last year and what was working and doing, getting through the struggles and whatever issues were causing the struggles in the first half last year, getting through that and having a better second half. And then, having the success in the second half and having a good idea of what he needs to do, whether it's routine or anything, mechanics, all that stuff, what all that looks like when he's pitching at or close to his best, and figuring out that formula. So even though he starts the season on the injured list, he has that in mind of what, when he is healthy, what he needs to do to be at that level. And that's what he talked about, and him, Craig Counsell, Tommy Hotovy all feel like the things they worked on last year and got to in the second half, it's just continuing, and it's again not a fluke, right? It is continuing to show and sort of bear fruits right now for him.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I was nice to see Taillon pitch well. It was nice to see the bullpen get through it and hold on to the game. But, we've kind of been sitting here talking for part of the podcast, just saying that I believe the next 20 games, it seems like the offense could be the bigger concern. You have Steele likely coming back. Taillon is back. You have some guys that are pitching well. You think the bullpen might get better. You still might not have your guaranteed closer, but that is looking more optimistic. More concerned about how they're going to score some runs, if I'm a Cubs fan, moving forward for the next month and a half, not knowing when Seiya is going to be back, not knowing when Bellinger is going to be back. People were in this chat and on Twitter saying, we need Canario, we need this guy. And it was why? Listen, this is why you have a lot of depth. This is why you had extra players at spring training, because sometimes baseball deals you a tough road and now you got to figure it out. Do you think we'll see PCA play a lot of center field, or will that still be Tauchman?
So, Craig Counsell kind of talked about that pregame, just what PCA's role will look like, and it's probably going to be similar to where it was when he came up in September last season, as far as having a role, right? I think he'll get some starts, obviously, in center field, as far as getting a guy a day off or what, that kind of stuff. I don't think that changes that much. It's just the player who would be getting that day off or whatever it does. So like I think you expect him to get some starts here. You expect him to come off the bench in like a defensive replacement role like he had today, or pinch running or whatever it is. Like the ways that he can impact the game, the Cubs will use him in those ways. Craig Counsell will try to figure out ways to put him in the best situation to have success, to impact the game positively, and do what he does best. Like Craig Counsell doesn't want him, like he's not expecting to like replace Cody Bellinger with Pete Crow Armstrong or with Mike Tauchman. Like it's going to take all these guys to not even necessarily replace it, but just to kind of fill in and minimize whatever you lose by losing Cody Bellinger. So yeah, so like you saw Mike Tauchman in there today, obviously, and then PCA goes out there later. That's going to be a group of guys that are going to be, whether it's Bellinger or Seiya Suzuki, a group of guys in that outfield that are going to be called upon to fill in, minimize the loss of whatever you're losing from those two guys, produce in whatever Craig Counsell's asked them to. So yeah, like Pete Armstrong, he's up here. He's up here because of injuries, and Craig Counsell acknowledged that when a lot of these guys are healthy, he probably doesn't have a spot on the team when Seiya or Bellinger come back. So for the meantime, it's going to be putting PCA in positions where he's going to be able to positively impact the ball club.
Our good friend Gerard in the chat is asking, if you have any idea why Happ was taken out late in the game. That's what PCA came in, the 8th or 9th inning, right?
Yeah. So we asked Craig Counsell about that after the game. Just like nothing too big. Didn't indicate anything too big. It was just kind of like, I think his answer was just trying to take care of Ian a little bit here. Like, he had the hamstring thing in spring. The hamstring cost him a couple games over the weekend. It was really cold out here. So it seems like it was just a precautionary, like, we'll just get him out of the game here, make sure he's okay, like make sure we're keeping him okay. And obviously they're putting Pete Crow Armstrong in the outfield, who's, if we're talking about defense at that point of the game, having PCA roaming around center field was obviously a pretty big positive for what the ball club.
Well, you can't afford Happ and that hamstring to be a problem again, or you'd be missing your entire starting outfield at that point. So, I mean, this is a huge opportunity, I think, for Canario even more than PCA, but for the two of them, this is a massive opportunity for them to show that they're major leaguers.
And this is a big deal for Craig Counsell, right? This is why you pay a manager $8 million. I mean, he's going to have to figure out ways to make this offense tick. It's going to be a way different lineup. I think that it's going to be a difficult stretch for him as a manager. I can't wait to see how he handles it.
You kind of already see it, right? Just based on how this whole month has gone with injuries and how Craig Counsell has plugged in and played with different guys, whatever. Like, Seiya's been out for a little bit already, and having to figure that out. And yeah, like I think it's just like a continuation of like every time it's like, okay, Craig, like now what are you gonna do? Now how can you continue on this kind of thing? Because it has been, or it's definitely been a pretty bumpy road already in April.
Yeah. I think when it comes to, this outfield situation, like what you said about PCA and the role, like I feel like that's probably the best way. I'd feel a lot different if he was raking at AAA before coming up here. Like the only reason he's here is because of injury. It's not because he earned this opportunity again.
No, but nevertheless, it's an opportunity. I feel like it's a bigger opportunity for Canario, but for PCA, it's still a chance to be in the major leagues and show it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like Ryan said, when he gets his starts, I hope the at-bats are at least more competitive than what we saw in September. That's...
I know we're running long. There was one other super chat, but I had just one more for Ryan. I know he hasn't really said anything officially about the closer role, but just curious if Counsell talked at all about Hector getting that opportunity tonight, or how he was kind of structuring the bullpen. Or my read on it is he's kind of going inning by inning and just getting the outs where he sees the best matchup. But was there any kind of he preferred Neris in that last spot tonight, or any thoughts on that?
No, I think what you just said is pretty accurate as far as you take Adbert out of the bullpen, and he actually said this over the weekend that it's kind of like a day-to-day approach. I believe is how he worded it. Just like it's not, you don't have a set closer, right? Like, I don't think Hector Neris is looked at as the Cubs closer right now. It's just, Mark Leonard Jr. gets in a pocket that they liked. You use him in that pocket. That's where he thrives, right? Hector Neris is supposed to be one of your back end guys. You're going to use him in the back end, whether that's the 8th inning or the 9th inning. Adbert, you're putting him in still maybe some slightly higher leverage situations, but not the 9th inning. Get him some confidence back. Luke Little was pretty good against their 2 best hitters, right? The Astros' 2 best hitters today. So, but you give him a shot in that role. I think it's a little bit more of, Adbert wasn't doing his job as the closer in closing games. Obviously, he blew 4 saves, so get him out of that role for the time being. Get him in spots he can have success, build that confidence up, and in the meantime, kind of figure it out on a game by game, inning by inning basis of who fits in where we need them, and obviously get to the end of a game with 27 outs. I think that seems to be the approach right now for him.
Sounds good. Cody Burton with the Super Chat, $1.99. Maybe you need a CHGO bib in the merch store. Cody, tell us about PrizePicks, and then we'll get to the business of who you got, which, Ryan, I spent the entire evening adding up, going back, so we're all caught up. Now, tell us about PrizePicks, and we'll get to that, and tonight's who you got.
In relation to that Super Chat, though, credit to Cody for, giving us good ideas. Only the best people give good ideas. Their name is Cody, all right? PrizePicks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America, the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers, folks. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. You can do the Chicago entry, right? You could have done Taillon strikeouts tonight, and we all know the White Sox are so bad, so why not Joe Ryan strikeouts against the Sox tonight? You know what I mean? And Dansby Swanson to get a hit a homer. If you put that in your PrizePicks entry, that'll pay out pretty well. That's all I'm saying. Do the Chicago one every single night during the baseball season if you really wanted to. All right. You can do that by going to prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for your first deposit matchup to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Very nicely done. Cubs beat the Astros. They take another series, and they can go for the sweep against Verlander tomorrow. Who you got? All right, here it is. Today's who you got. I took Hap. Got off to a good start. Ryan had Nico. Cody had Morel. Brendan with the Dansby vote. And Corey took Mervis. I would assume...
See, now I know why Mervis didn't have a good game.
My apologies to Matt and his family. So.
It's Dansby. I mean, it was the only offense of the game, basically.
Brendan now has to take I know he either takes Dansby or Nico every night, but he has to take Dansby tomorrow. That's the rule. Because it's the only way. I feel like I help
unless somebody beats him to it.
No.
Yeah.
We care about winning ball games here, all right? I took Dansby yesterday, and he had a hit and a walk, all right? And he was part of them scoring runs yesterday. Tonight, he hits a homer. Listen, we need Dansby to be, we need him to get on a hot streak, all right? So I am asking Brendan to take Dansby tomorrow. He, put it in the chat immediately, all right?
He's taking
Dansby tomorrow.
He's in the live chat right now.
He's on there.
Sounds like I should be taking Dansby tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mess it up, Ryan.
It's fair game. And if you want to sit where Bleacher Jeff sits, just go ahead and get there. So here's the standings.
Wait, hold on.
I am 8-12. Corey 5-18. Cody 5-17. Ryan 3-18. Brendan now 3-12 with that win. Kevin Wells 0-3. We'll get after it again tomorrow.
3 wins. I had 2 wins over the weekend. You're telling me I have 3 wins?
Well, we went through and added it up. I went through I had them added up through 6 games through the 5th of April.
Yeah, and I had 2 already.
And then we went through each game. We went through each box score, and we added up. And we're like, okay, no name attached to this. who wins the game. And this is what I don't know.
It's crazy. I'm going to have to go through every single one.
All right.
Oh, big of you.
He will file an appeal.
Remember to save it. Remember to save it this time.
That's right.
Ryan, the Cubs are 15-9. We can't have this infighting. Things are
it's
going well.
15-9.
We can't have infighting.
If you want to
amongst
make it
us.
about you,
I got
that's
screwed.
okay.
Ryan cares more about
I got
who you
screwed.
got than anything else.
That's
okay?
right.
Yep.
He wakes
Yeah, I'm
up.
getting
Who am
screwed.
I taking for who you got?
Well,
Brendan's
Brendan's
also
checking on you.
complaining about his wins.
Yeah.
Now Brendan's mad. He
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
won tonight.
Brent-
We just gave it to him.
Brendan barely submits his picks on
Brendan's
time.
not going to have
even allowed
he's
to
not
play.
even 50%, so he's not going to be a factor. Let's face
Carter
it.
He's not a
Hawkins.
qualified hitter.
Carter Hawkins in the chat. Ryan is the White Sox of who you got.
Yeah.
A lot of
It's
people are
unbelievable.
saying that.
It also doesn't make
3 and
sense.
18. That's not as bad as 3 and 21.
I haven't missed a game. Or maybe I've missed one game. They played 24.
Yeah, you've
games.
missed.
I don't know.
We've all missed. We've all missed a couple. Cody has missed
one.
Cody missed like 2 Fridays.
Yeah, I think
I missed
that
some weekend
one,
games.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a couple missed ones in there where there was no pick.
But before we get off, one thing I remembered, and I don't remember how many games it was, but none of us said it. I do think it's very nice that not only has Jameson Taillon started this year so well, he's been the winning pitcher in both of these starts. Didn't the team lose his first, 10, 12 starts last year? He didn't take the loss in all of them, but the team lost every time he started for 2 months. And so he's 2-0.
It was
2
up
for 2
until that
on the year.
Yankees game, right? That
I
Yankees
think
game
so.
turned the corner.
Something like
right.
that.
So you're saying wins are an important stat.
Don't let him have
No.
that.
Thanks for checking out the
Don't let
CHGO
him
Cubs
have
post
that.
game show podcast.
He also didn't pitch on a Sunday, so that helped
Right.
too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cubs win 4-3. Hit the like button on the way out. What are we at? 96?
Please hit the like button.
95.
95.
With two downvotes. Get rid of those.
Oh yeah.
Turn them to thumbs up.
We
Come on.
welcome the thumbs down too. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Back here for a post game show tomorrow
Afternoon.
afternoon, and then
Verlander
we're
versus
headed
the
over
S-Man.
to the draft party
Yeah.
for the biggest day in Chicago Bears
Cubs
history.
better win tomorrow. That way
Joe's
I
on
can
Wheat Street.
prepare myself to be hurt by the Chicago Bears tomorrow.
Thanks for watching.
All right.
Until tomorrow, when the Cubs go for the sweep and the Bears go for the all-time win. Thanks for watching and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.